3 years ago.
23 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember that. I think it was at the university.
Yeah. Yeah, in the number. Save seats. I'm not sure I can do that.
Sure you can. I think that for you guys really like to take this road. Wow.
Yeah, I was going to try to take this one, but let's set these on.
Where are you guys? We're in Lincoln.
We've been there for
No. Let's see. Oh, yeah.
So I'm not
Hey Adam, what are you doing? Yeah, good. Are you here yet? Okay. Alright, doing my open spaces. I do, I don't know how long, but I know I get too. Okay. Yep, she's upstairs getting them. I'm here in the CAC.
Hi, Mike. Carla Bartlett.
Carla, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good to see you.
Nice to see you, as always.
Circumstances.
I know. But I've been talking to you quite a bit, like I'm sure Hollis has too. And the fact that I've been out on Saturday, my 99th birthday in July, and had a sort of spectacular night. Yeah. May we all be so blessed, right?
Pictures, I just love the old.
Yeah.
The the old snapshots from back in the day.
Mike's waving.
What do you need?
Where Mike is. You see Mike?
Is it okay?
Who's that?
Then I'll grab the.
There you go. Hi, Andy. No. Yeah, I'm Campbell. I know.
Why don't you sit down and I'll take your water, okay? You want to sit right here? Next to you here. Can you grab a seat here? I'll give you a hand. Can I put your walker on the side over here? Is that okay?
Do you have no, but we said Adam probably. Yeah, I know. So maybe one. You're set. You're good. Good. You like walk?
Oh, look at the good pictures.
Oh, so
I
cute.
can't bring anybody.
Oh, you know what?
And Barbara's on the left side. And you can recognize. Is anybody here? Well, and she's the very true. Yeah. Is that all right? That's the problem.
You okay?
It's almost as if somebody has spelled hope around it. That's a beautiful picture.
No. We're all lost though.
Holly and Adam are here, Mom.
Nice to see you.
Hi, Carla.
Nice to see you.
Hi, Paula. I'm Carla Bartlett. Nice to see you. You guys never met?
I think we probably have. How are you? You look awesome. Oh, great. Oh, good.
No, I'm fine. Thank you.
Yes, I can see. All right. I'll move the cart. I'll move your thing off to the side. Oh, bring my bag.
What?
Good job, Mike.
Touchy go there. Good. The stress wasn't too bad.
Really? It's like the glasses we hear your shirt running up.
It works. It's fine. It saves me a lot of shaving. That's nice.
Each of our sons, I bet you hear some stage.
They had something. Okay. Yeah, I think so. How are you, Mike?
Good. That's good.
Oh, that's good. Did you guys do the ballet?
No, there were spaces in the south. Did you do that?
To the north of here.
Are you guys coming from Pittsburgh?
Hello everyone. I would just like for those that brought cards, you just put them in the white box on the table there. So, thanks.
Our neighbors for the former
And they're starting a big project, or just started a big project.
And I could be more because
Judy and Larry,
What do you mean?
they are doing a big addition to their house.
Oh, really?
Because I see Judy all the time. Besides knowing her when I was a kid, she and I were neighbors for 30 years as adults. Yeah. And our kids are around the same
Okay,
age.
yeah, and Larry's been sort of leading the charge on this whole thing with Fade over the township. He built a huge, it's beautiful, but it's a huge property building. It's really for their the company's purpose. They have executive stay up. But it's all zoned. They didn't do that. And so the whole lane is like put in the law so it's Larry's leading the charge.
Are you actually on the same?
Yeah, we're just a few houses
Isn't
down.
it Cedar Beach Road or?
South Pine Beach Road.
Okay.
Yeah, and the Polly's family was there for 30 years.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So we knew the person that sold it. We used to rent right next door.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, now we have a place.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
So do you spend most of the summer up there? And is it winterized? Can you go there any time of year?
We can, yes. So we're splitting it with our
First, I think it's John Lilly.
Well, Judy and Larry's plan is to do this addition and then move up their Well, they sort of did, but then had to move out because
Now he looks like an older version. He looks like John.
they're reinventing the house.
Really?
Really.
Aaron was talking about the two guys who came in
Last
right
night,
at the same time.
there were additions on both
Watched some big
sides.
shots.
Okay.
It's quite extensive because they want to be able to
I'm sure a lot of big shots. Plenty of big
They
shots.
have 3 kids, one lives here, no children, and one's children live far away. They just want to be able to house their children.
Well, they're sort of the mayors of the
That's
lane.
amazing.
Yeah, they
You
go.
know what? I'm sure Larry would be good at that.
Yeah, Larry's.
How are you? So nice to meet you. I was just saving a seat for Angela. Angela, good.
Stay there. Did you sign the document? That's so cute. That's adorable.
Kathy's friend Carla.
There you go.
Yeah. It's on yeah.
Yes.
We're going to see you at Falling Water.
There's a story behind that. We were planning to be there, but we didn't go.
Same with me.
I ended up in the hospital. Different reasons.
Oh, you had different reasons.
But that's why we're here. Two of my favorite ones are flying back.
Fine. Or is it just
Yes. Which is
You're looking fine.
Thank you.
I recognize you. It's on the
Oh my God.
Some people recognize me.
What a great
Like your dad. Sorry? Why had to go this morning? I was here yesterday and Friday. University of Chicago and had an event.
We've had two.
Last weekend I was in Chicago.
What does he do?
He's going to Los Angeles.
He's going to law school at Chicago. So since we last saw him, he left through high school and then college and law school. That's good.
And so he's doing well. I'm sad, yeah, I wanted to be here, but
Well,
his neighbor died doesn't have
It is. Well, you know what? It is.
Sorry, very sorry. Oh, thank you. I give it to Polly. Yes, good to see you again.
signing in.
Remember you from
a couple summers ago.
Gladstones? Oh,
We were just outside here.
oh, that's right.
Yeah, we were just on the company. I mean, I'd seen you 30 or 40 years before, but something like that. It's strange. There's Sarah Egan. I haven't seen her since high school. She's here.
Wow. We saw your mom a week before she passed away. She was like, as soon as we saw her, she was like, well, how was the wedding with Becca? And she was like, so shocked. Yeah. She drew all everybody. Bing, bing, bing.
They had it together.
Oh, yeah.
And that was the hardest part because you knew that, you know, it's like, come on out of this, you know, come out of the. She was in essentially a coma after the surgery.
Right. Oh, it's hard though. It needs some kind of surgery.
Yeah. She was directing people. She's like, okay, like her grandkids. Okay, you guys have sat here. Let other guests sit. Out. So there's some probably good stories. We haven't shared all the stories between the siblings yet, so we're gonna.
Look, I just when I was. Remember how your mom would entertain, which is kind of the opposite of how my mom would entertain. Your mom hated to entertain, and so she would block them all together. Like, okay, I hate February, I hate December. We would do all my entertaining. And then I would be the bartender and the host and stuff like that. She'd just like get through it.
Well, there was an ongoing thing between my mom and my dad. My dad is like, we were the Tulies, we're the Hemorrhage, we're blah blah blah, right? And we haven't entertained once, right? My mom's like, your partner. And then she'd go, okay, fine. She'd give in.
Very efficient. I like that.
You got all set up. Do that occasionally. Yeah.
I just saw Tim talking.
Are you gonna speak?
Yeah. Tell a couple of funny stories.
She was the volunteer coordinator.
So it'll be, yesterday was Margaret Price at insurance ads. Kate and Mary are good second place. I was right there in third place. I was like, oh, okay, it's like I couldn't stop.
Yeah. Are you guys spending time up in Wild 80?
We buried her actually yesterday at the Wild 80. And you'll see, there was a friend who made a wooden box. You'll see it in a slideshow somewhere on the show. That essentially was
We're not used to seeing him in a suit.
somewhat of a replica of the Oak House, right? It was amazing. It's like, holy shit.
That's so cool. That's cool.
So we buried her next to that.
Okay. Oh yeah, I probably will too. I lose it on the drop of a dime.
All right, I got to get going.
Okay, good to see you.
Is it hot in here? Or is it just...
I'm warm, but I run hot. So go ahead. Nice to see you. Good job. Yes.
How are you?
I'm not going to. No, I can't. I'm going to tell you that.
And the thought is there.
I'm coming down here anyway. And she's ready for it.
have somebody with you.
You got the neighborhood.
You all.
Mary, I'm going to give you a hug in front of my wife.
Hi, it's Polly, right?
Yes, I've heard a lot about it. Many stories start with married together. It didn't start that way.
Good to see you. I know. Good to see you. Right. Horsey one. I was
I need luck.
That's very good.
I'm doing it, but I don't know why they should hire me. The entrance, research this, find out this, go find out this, it's all the things that you can ask. It might not be more accurate or presented, and then
Well, I just came out with the version. Yeah, I have it. Blood. It's what it is. Financial model.
I knew I needed it.
what you hire.
What?
I'm so glad.
Yeah.
She was sitting next to me.
Lily was able to know tailoring everything. And all these people right, and then it's not right voice. The reality was, and it's
Wow, I think it's amazing. Everything's quite That's nice. Barbara, we're thrilled to see all of you here. What a great crowd. So, good afternoon. I am Randy Bryant, close family friend. Let me welcome you to the celebration of life for our beloved Barbara M. Elsner. I recognize how challenging it is to get our minds and hearts around the loss of a loved one. The benefit of coming together is that we have the opportunity to share our grief and move forward, celebrating the life of someone that was very special, both individually and collectively. I would like to begin my remarks by reading a favorite poem of Barbara's requested by the family. To Laugh Often and Love Much by Ralph Waldo Emerson. To laugh often and love much, to win the respect of the intelligent people and the affection of children, to earn the appreciation of honest critics and endure the betrayal of false friends, to appreciate beauty, to find the best in others, to give oneself, to leave the world a bit better, whether by a healthy child, a garden patch, or a redeemed social condition. To have played and laughed with enthusiasm and sung with ostentation. To know that one's life has breathed easier because you lived here. This is to have succeeded. When I think of this poem, I so think of Barbara. This is so reflective of her. Barbara lived a multi-generational life. She had many people involved in her life, many people that loved her, cared for her. She had people that didn't quite understand her. She didn't care. For me, Barbara was extraordinary. I could not have crafted a relationship with someone 40 years my senior and believe that we would have alliances on so many levels. Barbara Elsner's helped shape my character and outcome in life. I consider Barbara a best friend. For many years, Barbara and I talked every morning at 6:30 a.m., either by phone or meeting for a walk. Both her husband Bob and my wife Cecilia accepted that was our time. We discussed our upbringing, our family, preservation, history, our values, our zest for, and disappointments in life. We were an unlikely pair. I valued her passion, energy, and intellect. Nothing made me smile broader than to hear Barbara say, "Oh boy," or when she would indicate that someone was, quote unquote, quite able. Because she never said they were great. It's like they were able. We were thrilled when she shared a story. We were thrilled when we shared a story about our successes at meetings attempting to shape the landscape of our neighborhood, or when Columbus St. Mary's made plans to grow and our ability to influence what the decision might be. Our discussions around a particular strategy or approach for preserve our parks, or discussing plans for creating our podcast together. We joyfully reflected on our memories of mutual friends, such as Betty Bostrom, Nikki Tooley's, Jill Heavenrich, Penny Egan, and Nat Bedworth. And I would call them the Golden Girls. These Golden Girls truly cared for me, and when it was time for me to marry, I announced I was getting married. They said, "Oh no, you can't marry anyone without us checking her out." So they arranged for a meeting, and it was a grueling meeting. But my dear bride who was here, she just won them over, and she became one of them, and they accepted each other. Barbara shared fond memories of her love for her husband, children, grandchildren, and family in general. She acknowledged her privilege and used it as a force of good. She was a founding member of many organizations in this town, such as Penfield Children's Center, and she also worked as a young woman for the welfare department, supervised by an African-American woman, Lucinda Gordon. who Barbara respected until the end of her life. She gained a sincere respect for those that were in need and provided support. Barbara was very quiet and not boastful. She was not one to brag at all, and truly tried to stay out of the spotlight. Many things that Barbara did, many people would never know. I asked Barbara, please let me share in your memorial about these things. She didn't want to. Finally, at 99, she said, okay. And now within me, I feel there's some things I need to keep, because now I understand where she's coming from. As would be the case for most human beings, Barbara was not a saint. She had flaws, but the good in her truly outweighed anything on the contrary. She was loyal, loving, a lifelong learner, socially conscious, well-read, a savvy investor. I need to repeat, a savvy investor. Astute in many ways. We can comfortably admire the life she led. Barbara wanted us to be responsible, to take the gift that we have been given and invest in each other, to create wealth and dividends for the next generation in multiple ways. Today, I'd like to share just one example that really gave me pleasure. I attended Barbara's 99th birthday party. The joy I felt and witnessed as each of Barbara's daughters, sons, and grandchildren sat with her and soaked up her smile, her approval, and the blessings of being in her presence. I felt so very happy to see her in her true element, basking in the love of those that care deeply for her. The calm I sensed from her demeanor, as the ease of knowing she was loved, had loved, and that no question her life had been lived in vain. From my perspective, Barbara leaves a legacy that cannot be captured in just a few words. She leaves many lessons behind that will come to us when we least expect it. I remember to surround myself with multiple generations and embrace their various perspectives. I will fiercely and passionately embrace what has intrigued me and go all in. Can we say Frank was right for Barbara? And continually ask myself, why am I on this earth? And what impact can I have? At this time, I would like for those who have been invited to come up and to share your remembrances of Barbara.
A penny saved is a penny earned. Good afternoon, I'm Margaret Elsner, Howland, the baby. I'd like to reflect on my mother, Barbara's remarkable finance acumen and lifelong interest in personal finance and financial markets. Barbara circled stock values in the paper before dawn. Later in life, she checked them on the iPad in real time. Tuned into the 3 p.m. radio market report, watched Wall Street Week on Friday nights, attended monthly investment clubs, meetings, read quarterly reports cover to cover, each Dow and NASDAQ fluctuation intertwined with the everyday cadence of our lives. She managed our household of 7, finances like a pro. She packed the dishwasher tight. No need to run it before completely full. She read every line of every bill. and disputed every error. She loved good deals and a good sale. In the late 70s, promotional items from chasing the best interest rates at the savings and loans were stowed away for Christmas presents. Electric blankets, clock radios, crock pots, coasters, thermoses, you get it. In 1982, I was refused entry to the college cafeteria because my tuition was past due. Margaret, she said over the payphone, I'll send a check tomorrow. Why pay early when the late fee is minimal? Gains in the money market. She had done the math. Fast forward to the 2000s. My mother was livid over an electric bill when my young family lived with my parents during a home renovation. Outrageous. The lights are left on everywhere, she declared. I protested. A few days later, I found my 4-year-old son in the dark hallway, tiptoeing to turn on the lights. Nick, I inquired, are you afraid of the dark? Yeah. Can you turn off the lights? He tried, but he wasn't quite tall enough to pull the switch back down. We demonstrated this to my mother, and I never heard another word about the electric bill. The day before her fall, she told me that reading the entire Wall Street Journal daily was a lot of work, with her eyesight fading. That same day, she purchased an expensive pair of new hearing aids. It's worth the investment, she said, if I live another year or two. In the emergency room on August 21st, fully lucid, she says, Margaret, now remember, the audiologist said I get my full refund. The hearing aids don't work out. Mom, I don't think that's what they meant by not working out. I told her. Listen, honey, she said, if I'm dead, I won't be wearing them, so therefore, it didn't work out. We got the check in the mail on Friday. A penny saved is a penny earned. Barbara's intellect and money-minded magic were unique. What she seemed to want, above almost everything else, was for her family to be secure, comfortable, and happy. Yes, her focus on finances was intellectually stimulating, but more deeply an act of love. Thinking of her, I will pack the dishwasher tight and turn off all the lights. Thank you.
Hi, I'm John, the older brother. So, as all my brothers and sisters can tell you, piano lessons were mandatory in the Elsner household. Mom considered musical education essential. Along the way, to my siblings' delight, I picked up the trumpet. As a parent myself, I now realize the patience one must have to raise a beginner trumpet. There is a reason that none of my children play brass instruments. No one should do that. I always assumed that music was a chore for her. There were no hints that she enjoyed it, no belting out a hymn at church, nor any talk about a favorite artist or band. And when any of us played on our 1960s high-fidelity phonograph, you all remember those pieces of furniture in those days,
she'd yell, "Turn it down," every time. So once when I was in high school, I put on a blues record, and I heard my mom upstairs singing the chorus to Caledonia, loud and proud. And I was thinking, who is this person? And then there's a story about my high school girlfriend who told me she saw my mom at a party. I wasn't there, so I asked, "Oh, did you go up and say hi?" And she looked at me like I lost my mind. She said, "Oh, God, no." That was the moment I realized apparently she was intimidated, which was news to me. I just thought she was Mom. Just Mom, the same person who locked us out of the house very often and who fed us chop suey from a can. Bitter and disappointment in one bite. But Mom meant so much to people beyond chop suey. She was a complicated person with qualities that didn't always fit neatly together. This made her unforgettable. She was stern but kind. Shy, yet a force when something or someone needed protecting. She was practical to the core, but easily moved by flowers, landscape, and architecture. And then there was her uncertainty. Her certainty. My Uncle Jim, her brother, recently described her as, quote, "a willful child." Imagine that. I'm certain that many of you know my mother had opinions and that she was not afraid to share them. You always knew where she stood. Whether you agreed with her or not, there was clarity and conviction behind her words. And this certainty, backed by her lifelong drive to care for her family and community, gave me and many of us kind of faith. Faith that the world can be, in fact, changed by a very determined person. So, as a tribute to my mother, who had a remarkable ability to surprise us all, the tune Caledonia, the one she sang so long ago, will be played at the conclusion of the service. And please embrace the joy and praise.
I'm Kate, for those who don't know me, Untitled Chapter. Things you might not know about Barbara. She really would always tell us, I'm really shy. And she was such a force of nature and tough, but she would always tell us that she's really shy. She learned how to swim in the Milwaukee River. And she really loved swimming, but did not like the wool swimming suit that was very cold and itchy every morning. She loved roller skating and would catch a ride behind a car right in the bumper. In a car walk during her teen year, she spent 1 year setting up bowling bins in a bowling alley. She had the opportunity in 1946 after the war to go on a 2-month excursion with her brother George in the Canadian Rocky Mountains on a donkey, just with a guy. That's just 2 of them and the guy. And I got a clarification today from my cousin Elizabeth that they were riding through a tunnel, and George got through, and Barbara was behind, and the donkey started to gallop. And as you come up the tunnel, there's a drop off on the cliff. And he's going, "Oh my God, Barbara's going to die." But she did not. In 1948, she happened to be on a trip to Italy. And somehow her group got a connection with the Vatican. And they had private viewing with Pope Pius XII. And so we just heard this story like 2 years ago. What? Yeah, and I had, a lot of the people on the trip were Italian, and so they said, we weren't Catholic said, he said, I should do something. So I went out and kissed the Pope's ring. She would tell, at least me, that I should learn how to flirt more and scheme to get men. And she told this in regards to a story regarding Bill Tooley's, who asked her to take to a party because she knew Bob Elsner would be there and make sure that she didn't take Barb home so Bob could. And then she said, you know, I saw Bob across the room and I kind of flirted with him just with my smile on my eyes. We should think about doing that, Kate. Of course, I met my husband on a Freiburg trip with my mom. And she, to this day, it's all because of her. We all know she bought a Franco Wright house in 1955 with my dad, because she needed more room. But the really reason why was that my dad's sister, after childbirth, passed away with a newborn and a 4-year-old. So my mom and dad felt that they needed to help the brother-in-law out with these little 2 kids. And my parents had a 3-year-old boy, Bob, and a little girl, Mary, 1. And they had a small house in Whitefish Bay that was 3 bedrooms and 1.5 baths. And she felt they all should have their own bedroom. So that Franco Wright house had 5 bedrooms. Each little kid could have their own bedroom, had 3.5 baths, and midway, my mom had one on the way. Me. So that's why the Wright house was bought, and look, history has been changed. Mom had a lot of common sense, but not always. So Mary came home and said, we have to bring in something for show and tell, and it has to be ethnic related to our background. And so this is maybe she's in 1st or 2nd grade. So Mom gives her hope. Take this bottle of Irish whiskey. Mom decided to take, with other families, take our whole family to France for the summer in 1967. 6 kids. Tolan was the 6th kid. And lived in France, and one of the things she said, it was much cheaper to actually go to France for the summer than to belong to the River Tennis Club. She liked being called to jury duty. She would purposely wear kind of out of style clothes in her closet. Maybe she would be picked more that way. But it didn't help much because she always knew the judges and was dismissed. She was a very good athlete and very competitive. In her 50s, she took up squash with Nat Beckwith. And they decided to challenge the Wisconsin Badger squash team. And they beat them bad. She was known to have a gin and tonic on the porch of the country at 6 o'clock at night. And hopefully 2 sandhill cranes would fly by. At 85, she had a slight stroke. That didn't hold her back. She said, okay, I'm going to quit smoking full turkey. No problem. She quit tennis because that forehand just wasn't the same. She read every day, the Wall Street Journal and the Milwaukee Journal. She would always cut out articles for us. She loved walking and walked with Nat Beckwith. And one time, the Lakeshore State Park in 2007 was built. But at this time, it wasn't quite open yet. And this is the one by Discovery World and Summerfest. So Nat and Barbara, they will just go anywhere, even if it says no trespassing, but the gate was open. So they go in and walk the 4 miles and come back, and the gate is locked. So, how did you get out? Well, we climbed the fence, of course. My mom is 81 and Dad's 78. But we got over the fence, and then the security guard greeted them. They were cited for trespassing. You're probably wondering why there is this Frank Wright chair. Well, this is a chair for Burnham Street. And Mom was on the committee for chairs, and she was voted out for other chairs. And Mom always said those chairs weren't right. And there has to be a drawing somewhere. And finally, Mike Lillick hunted it down. And Mom was very much looking forward to the chairs being made, and had it made. And Nicole Axon came to Mom and lunch with her and showed her the drawings and that sort of thing. So when Mom fell, we were at the hospital and we were waiting for the surgeon. As we were talking to her, and I was saying, this or that, and she said, that's a great story about the chairs. You should tell Mike, good PR story. You had to look for the drawings, you found the drawings, then you got the chair made. And so we were saying bye to her right before she was going to go under surgery. And I said, Mom, dream about the land and the country, the flowers, the pond. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to dream about the new Wright chairs. Love you, Mom.
Hi, I'm Mary Elsner. I'm my parents' eldest daughter, and I'm the one that brought the Irish whiskey to elementary school during show and tell. I wanted to relate a few stories about my mom as a feminist and community activist and how she impacted me. When my mother was growing up with 3 brothers, she was keenly aware of the double standard in her household simply because she was a girl. She often referenced the fact that she had to make her brothers' beds. Quite often, her brothers were able to attend prestigious colleges while she was sent to a Catholic women's college. The double standard that she experienced in her family emboldened my mother to call and confront the head female administrator of my high school to ask why the boys and not the girls were assigned to the best teachers, for example, in science, and why few financial resources were spent on girls' sports compared to boys' sports. This was before passage of Title IX prohibiting sex-based discrimination in education and women's sports. My mother relayed to me that in one of those apparently heated conversations, and I suspect that there were numerous calls like this over the years, that the administrator claimed the reason why girls were not assigned to certain science teachers was that girls would not become scientists, to which my mother proudly retorted, what about Madam Curry? As many of you know, my mother was a tireless advocate. She frequently battled with her opponents, sometimes over many years. My first protest was at the William Plankington Mansion in 1969, where my mom and younger siblings camped out on the concrete steps in front of the building all night so that we would be ready to confront and halt the bulldozers from demolishing the building early the next morning. Unfortunately, that act alone did not save the building. So I too became an activist. I interned for the National Organization for Women in Boston and advocated for the Equal Rights Amendment at Common Cause. One of my earliest experiences was going door to door with my mom with Red Feather, a community-based fundraising drive dedicated to addressing human needs. I became a volunteer in Service to America, a VISTA, and community organizer going door to door in the Milwaukee River West neighborhood, organizing around substandard housing conditions. Later, I became a legal services lawyer advocating for residents in low-income households, and more recently directing public health projects addressing housing and food insecurity and immigration. Although operating mostly in entirely different spheres, my mom influenced the trajectory of my numerous vocations. She provided me with a model and tools for a fulfilling and meaningful life, and of course, an appreciation of art and beauty. I am so grateful to her for all of that.
I am Robert Elsner, the eldest son. The three things that I'm grateful for my mom. My mother gave me a body which can walk on this earth. She encouraged me in tennis and took me to tournaments when I was young. What was most noticeable about my mom was her energy. While my dad was working, she took us on family trips to such places as France, England, Spain, Williamsburg, South Carolina, New York City, Washington, D.C., and Lincoln's house in Illinois. My mother came from a family of critical thinkers, and she set the example for the next generation, questioning the role of women in contemporary society. When I was sick in the hospital, she brought me many books. I had a breakthrough in reading, and whenever I was sick, I employed this strategy. My mother taught me speech. Patty cake, baker's man. She had a habit of being blunt and blurting her opinions out. I did not always agree with what she had to say. Nevertheless, I was able to express myself openly as an actor in college and a teacher of history, and on a date. So thank you, Mom, for my body, speech, and mind.
I'm Tom Tolan. I'm the son of Sally Tolan, who was originally Sally Meyer, and good friends with Barbara. I just wanted to say that Dave, Barbara died. I went to see her at St. Mary's Hospital. I was there. We had a wonderful long talk. And it occurred to me, one of the things he told me was that she was born at St. Mary's. So it occurred to me that she was born there and died there, and in between she kept up from ruining her neighborhood. So that's a long relationship. And she had almost as long a relationship with my mom, Sally Meyer Tolan. I guess they were in kindergarten together. We think they were in kindergarten together. But they were certainly, who became great friends at Dollar Seminary, where they were the girls' high school, private girls' high school, where they went. Now, the buildings are part of it. And I think Margaret was telling me that they would sit around, drink sodas, and eat potato chips and talk about boys, right? So, but they also all played on the field hockey team. And as you said, that she was a great athlete, but Sally was second string, but Penny and Barbara were powers on that field hockey team. So they called Penny the Flash. So anyway, they had that long friendship, and then as years went by. As young married couples, they took Bob and Barbara and Sally and Larry took a canoe trip at the Belgrade waters of Minnesota. And your dad was he in the Signal Corps? He was a scout in the Army, wasn't he?
Scout in the Army.
Yeah. So my mom thought that they were lost, and Bob said, "No, I was a scout in the Army. I know how to read a map." So anyway, let's see. After that, I remember these parties. They were in, Penny and Jim and Penny and Barbara and Bob and Sally and Larry were in a group of a lot of young people, all young married people, and they would have some parties. And somebody, Barbara, did you say that my dad used to say this house needs a party?
Yeah.
Yeah. So but they, we were, we lived about 2 blocks from the Elsners. We were on Wall, they were on Terrace. And I remember George Watts would come often be at these parties. He'd come from the tea shop and take a nap. And he didn't drink, but he had the loudest laugh. And I remember my brother Sandy coming to the top of the stairs one time and yelling, "I can't sleep, you're laughing too loud." Let's see, what else? There was St. John's and there was always the book club that had us last year's here. And anyway, I was, the last few years, Dad and Barbara sort of hired me to drive them to Lake Shore State Park. And it's an Uber driver. And they, so we would go, I dropped them off and then I'd go up to Collectivo and have a coffee. And then one time I did that and Barbara, it was icy on the path and she had a fall. I don't know if you remember that. She got pretty bruised up. But she was back in, within a few weeks, if I remember right. And so I decided I better start walking with them. And it was, there was so much to share, and it was so lovely being with her and with Dad. And there were lots of stories. Anyway, one of the last things, I stopped with her a couple of years ago, and I would have lunch with Barbara sometimes. One time she told me that she went for a walk with my mom when I was a baby. And so she thought I was a really cute baby. So I'm not sure if this is correct, but then she thought to herself, "Oh, I think I'll try that." There you go. That's what I got.
Hello, my name is Claire Howland. I am Barbara's granddaughter. I am Margaret's daughter. Today we gather to honor and remember my grandmother. When I think of her, the first word that comes to my mind is beauty. Not just in the sense of appearances, but in the way she sought, noticed, and cherished beauty in the world around her. For Nana, beauty was everywhere, if only you took the time to look. She found it in architecture, marveling at the way human imagination could take shape in stone, brick, and glass. The curve of the doorway, the pattern in the tile. We would look up at a towering cathedral, and she would find the smallest detail, a doorknob, really worth examining. She found it in the sky. We once had a summer of clouds. On drives out to the Wild 80, on walks in the park, we would train our eyes upwards, pointing out a shape, a color, the way the light shifted and made the ordinary moment feel extraordinary. To her, the clouds weren't just weather, they were art, fleeting and ever-changing. She found beauty in spring flowers, those first tender signs of life after a long winter. Nana loved the way the marsh marigolds, hepatica, and trillium seemed to arrive overnight, filling the forest with pops of color. When I was about 3 years old, she showed me the secret of bloodroot, a small white wildflower. If you squeeze the stem, a bead of red liquid appears. Nana touched the bloodroot to my palm, and instead of being delighted, I burst into tears. While I got over the incident rather quickly, she continued to apologize for traumatizing me for 2 decades. I still look for bloodroot every spring and enjoy showing those around me the same trick. Nana taught us that flowers weren't just blossoms, they were reminders of renewal, resilience, and connection. But more than simply seeing beauty, Nana shared it. She slowed us down, pointed things out, helped us notice. She gave us the gift of paying attention. In her company, the world felt richer, fuller, because she had a way of drawing out the wonder in even the simplest things. Nana's love of beauty wasn't just about the world around her, it was how she lived. She built a life full of stories, laughter, and deep connections. She left us not only with memories, but a way of seeing that beauty is always there if we open our eyes and look at it. So as we remember Nana today, may we honor her by noticing, by pausing for a moment to admire a flower, a cloud, a building, or a field, and by letting those moments remind us of her wisdom, her presence, and her love. Thank you.
Hello everyone, my name is Nick Howland, Margaret's son, the one that couldn't reach light switches. I didn't talk to my grandma after that one, I don't know if my mom knew that. I am just going to make this short to the point, just as Barbara was. I will use this time to focus on how Barbara fostered individual relationships with people that she loved. When I think about this, I'm reminded of her conversation just before she moved to St. John's. She told me that she was nervous because she was shy, which I never believed, but now I understand, and she hated small talk. I think she was being honest in that remark. She hated small talk. She wanted to get to know the person, not hear about how the weather was, how the Packers score was, or what he did yesterday. She wanted to know the person. Judging by the size of this room, it's clear that even if she hated small talk, she was very capable of starting conversations and making connections. In many ways, her dislike of chit-chat was to all of our benefit. Because it inspired so many wonderful, deep conversations about life, the future, the stock market, and many other interesting topics that she keep on talking about for hours and hours, and I sat there and listened. She flourished on connecting with people and passing down the lessons she learned in her own time, and also the ones that she think was going to come next. She was never afraid to make a prediction, and she was often correct. Some of these lessons were harsh, but mostly fair. Sometimes I had many disagreements with her, but it was all in the spirit of good intellectual debate. I'm sure every one of us has dozens of these stories about her. I ask you to reflect on these memories of her, to pass on her lessons, and to challenge yourself to skip the small talk, get to the point, and to really get to know the people in your life, just as she did. She had a profound impact on my life, and I know all of yours. I know her memory will continue to be a blessing for us and for generations to come. Thank you.
Hello everyone, thank you all for coming again today to celebrate the life of my Nana. For those who don't know me, my name is Helen, I'm Kate's daughter, and I'm one of Barbara's 8 grandchildren. Being one of her grandchildren was a position that a privileged few of us held, so I'd like to speak about that. I would not call my Nana a stereotypical grandmother. She didn't make us cookies, and communication style wasn't warm, per se. But that doesn't mean that we didn't feel her love immensely. Instead, my Nana was an educator. She taught us how to set a proper table, as well as how to practice good table manners. She never spoke to me like I was a child, instead teaching me from a young age how to have my own voice in conversations, even with adults or superiors. She encouraged and fostered my love of reading, always discussing what I was reading and ensuring I read the classics from a young age. I remember her once admonishing me because what I was reading wasn't classic enough, which I'm pretty sure it was of Mice and Men by Steinbeck. She taught me how to lose, brutally destroying me at Chinese checkers most every time we played. It was actually just a few years ago that we beat her, and I say we because it took 3 of us to take her down. She taught me great taste and how to have a critical eye, emphasis on critical. I often find myself driving around and thinking, why would they paint this building that ugly color? And I say, thank you, Nana. We often spoke long and often about politics, the world, the news, all the current events. She taught me that it's okay to disagree and how to keep conversing when you inevitably do. She taught me that you don't actually need to be tall to stand tall, and stand up and fight for what you know is right. She taught me to tirelessly advocate for myself, especially when it came to my health. One of my last one-on-one conversations with my Nana was about my recent ADHD diagnosis. After describing some of my struggles, she recalled how hard it was to get my mom help for her learning disabilities in the 60s. She told me that she was really glad that I was seeking the help that I needed, and that she was proud of me. Driving into Milwaukee yesterday was very emotional for me. I was seeing the city I called home for the first time without my Nana in it. That's not really true, is it? Because this Milwaukee would not be the same without my Nana. She will always be here, in the Pabst Mansion, the Burn Block, the Boathouse, and all the other pieces of history and art and culture that she helped preserve. What is a legacy? Some say that a legacy is planting seeds in a garden which you never get to see. But my Nana saw her garden beginning to bloom, and that gave her so much joy. More than a legacy as a preservationist, her legacy is a grandmother, is us. Every time I spoke to her, she always told me something new and exciting one of my cousins were doing. My Nana was an educator, and with this education from her, I'm ready to go out and extend her legacy. I love you, Nana, and I look forward to seeing you or Papa again next time I see sandhill cranes fly by in the country. Thank you.
I'm James Meyer, his younger brother. First thing I want to say is, when Albert passed away, I read so many lovely articles about her life by friends and associates, and I see this room packed with love for her. I knew she had a happy life. Second thing I want to say, I just heard John tell you that Barbara thought I was a stubborn child. The family lore, from my mother repeating 5 or 6 times, is that Barbara was a young toddler. She wouldn't get her way. She would hold her breath until she got blue in the face. And the only remedy was to throw her into cold water. I guess we came from the same seed. Naively, in my retirement, I was 9.5 years old. I would call her frequently. We had lovely conversations. I was worried that she might be lonely in her old age. But look at this room. This was my stupidity, I guess. I had no living away for all those years. I had no concept of what was going on, except when I heard some stories from others about her life and supporting the people around her, and I'm really gratified and very happy to hear all these things expressed about Barbara. God bless you.
Well, the one thing we can say is that Barbara was complex and was shared by the family. When you look at life, life is a short life. We would think that 99 years is a long life, but it's really a short life. But Barbara can rest assured that her life will continue on through her children and grandchildren, who spoke so eloquently. Now, what was also complex is Barbara's relationship with Columbia St. Mary's. And Barbara did not say that she was in negotiations. She always said, we're fighting. We're in a fight. And so she called me up and she asked for me to attend with her because she knew that I worked for Motorola and had negotiated many things. And she wanted me to attend this meeting with her with Columbia St. Mary's, and it was a luncheon. So I go to the meeting, and here's all the sisters from Columbia St. Mary's, and I'm hugging them and smiling. She said, "They're the enemy." And I said, "Well, Barbara," I said, when you don't have to fight all the time. She said, "That is my arch enemy." So I have to button up and be kind. But the greatest thing, and I think the neighborhood cannot appreciate what Barbara did in order to save the neighborhood. Because Barbara had many fights with Columbia St. Mary's over the years. She had dealt with them for over 40 years. And so when the Columbia St. Mary's decided to expand this last time, they were looking to go across Lake Drive. And so we were negotiating. We were in Barbara's living room, dining room. And the president for Columbia St. Mary's came in. And he was being very bullish. He said, and we were just trying to share with them the reasons why they should not cross Lake Drive. He said, we're expanding, and we're going to cross Lake Drive. There's nothing else needs to be said. And Barbara stood up, and she said, "Oh, no, you're not." And she pulls out the 30-year agreement from way back, and there was 3 years left on that agreement. She says, "You're going to talk to us." And that's how we got the whole thing negotiated. And so the houses that are on Terrace Avenue, that was one of the deals that we negotiated in order to extend the housing that they took away 30 years prior, put them back. So when you see those new houses up, that was also because of Barbara. I share that story because I think it's so important to understand impact. She's gone, and she'll be gone for a long time. But people will understand what she did selflessly for the community. It's so important. I have to thank the family. How beautiful. And each of you, in terms, I see Barbara in each of you. And she'll be so proud of you. I started with a poem, and I ask that you allow me to end my remarks with a poem that will resonate with all of you. Let's center ourselves And for those who have had the opportunity to visit the bucolic Elsner property in Sheboygan County, picture the beauty and serenity of how a visit made you feel. The poem is titled Song for Autumn by Mary Oliver. In the deep fall, don't you imagine the leaves dream down? How comfortable it will be to touch the earth instead of the nothingness of air and the endless freshet of wind. And don't you think the trees themselves, especially those with mossy, warm caves, begin to look for the birds that will come, 6, a dozen, sleep inside your bodies. And don't you hear the goldenrods whispering goodbye, the everlasting being crowned with the first tubbit of snow. The pond stiffens, and the white bill over which the fox run so quickly bring out its blue shadows. And the wind pumps its bellows, and at evening, especially, the pile of firewoods shift a little, longing to be on its way. At this time, I would like for each of you to join us for a reception in the South Central Arts Center. When you leave these doors, go to your far right and keep going straight past the reception desk until the sign on the left. And then we can depart. So let us do the reading. Oh, we have the poem first. So it doesn't take it out of order. But anyway, I thank you for joining us, and John, just give me something else. That's it. Great. Again, thank you to all of you. Barbara, we so thrilled. It's been a wonderful day.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, why don't you get Matt's and that? I can get.
Hi, Jack. How are you? Good to see you. Mind if I do?
Come down.
It would not be a one. Right. That's
I don't know where Michael went. Oh, he went to get your father. Okay. Yeah, he'll be back. Sign right? The catalog is going to be released. I think a lot had to do with stories